Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And I have yet another amazing guest. I've done over 1,000 interviews on this show. And this morning I have an amazing guest who is a returning guest. And Trista is originally from California, relocated to Texas 3 years ago for a fresh start. She took our challenge. She got into our education, and she has just been absolutely crushing it. She has been a great student in many of our programs, and she has taken off in her online marketing on Instagram, growing over 339,000 followers, and on Facebook and these other places, she is present as well. So I am so excited to bring her back on the show. We're going to talk about nerves. We're going to talk about going live. We're going to talk about what's working for her. We're going to talk about limiting beliefs and anything else that comes up. With that being said, Trista, welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
How are you? How are you? Besides a couple of nerves for being live, as you said, behind the stage there.
Doing well. Just always busy, Like
Yeah.
4 kids is a little crazy.
Wow. For some reason, I forgot you had 4 kids, but congratulations on being alive and looking as good as you do for having 4 kids.
Well, makeup and all.
So talk to us, for those who don't know your story and kind of how you got started with this. You're a former preschool teacher. Talk to us about what motivated you, or what was the moment or season or reason for you to start doing this in the beginning.
Sure. So when I went to college, I did the traditional route, got my degree in finance and real estate, and then went into the mortgage business, and that was great. And then in 2008, when the market crashed, everything kind of went away. And then my husband and I at the time, we decided that we had just had 1 kid, and then we were trying for another kid. And so we made the decision that I was going to stay home. So I got the pleasure of staying home for 12 years and going through all the young years with the kids. And then in 2018, my husband was in a tragic accident, and it just upended our entire life. And I was forced into the caregiver role and also raising the kids, and life just got kind of crazy. And he was in a technical job. He was an electrical lineman, and he could no longer do that. And so for a while there, we tried to just balance it out, I tried to just balance it out with pulling from our savings to try and live, and doing all sorts of different things. And eventually I decided I had to rejoin the workforce. I had done an MLM before his accident, and it just it was okay, but I don't know. It's just not my jam. I don't like to bug my family and friends, and it just wasn't my thing. And then, so we moved to Texas, and then I decided to go into education and become a preschool teacher, which was great. Love the little kids. Super great. But if anyone is ever in education, they know that it doesn't really pay the bills. And so I was also working an at-home job, and we just were like racking up debt and more debt from all of his alternative therapies, and just not making enough. And so I don't know, like scrolling endlessly on Instagram just to kind of take my mind away from things, I kind of just started seeing these people pop up, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And I tried all the things. I tried the print on demand. I tried Amazon FBA. I tried all different things. I was like, I'm just going to try and dabble and do all this stuff, and nothing was working. And it kept coming up, like people kept popping up, like sharing what they were doing. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not a big social media person. I'm kind of private, and I don't like to really put myself out there, but I feel like something was just like constantly showing me like, you just got to try it. And so I jumped in, and I watched for a good 3-4 months before I was like, okay, I just have to try, because if I don't try, I'll never know. And So I jumped in.
Yeah. So, as you were being a teacher, and incredible story, incredible resilience. I agree with many of the comments coming through. Just absolutely, hats off. Like,
Thank
hats off. I hope you are. I hope you do take the time, and do see all of the amazing accomplishment and resilience and perseverance, of course, that we see. I know we can oftentimes be the hardest on ourselves, and so as you were going through the education in the beginning, do you remember kind of what your mindset was, and what did you need to overcome in order to continue through? You invested in the blueprints, you dove all into this. So your success has left some clues. What are some of the things that, if you look back, you needed to do or change in order to keep going? And if you didn't, you may not have.
So like when I started, I launched just kind of, I was so eager to get going because I thought I was going to be like, I was going to be this amazing thing right off the bat. And it like, that's not what happened, but I had to push myself to get out there, and I tried to emulate the bigger people in the, online world. And that didn't work for me. I was trying to be something that I was not. And I think for me, like, once I kind of realized that I'm not going to do trendy little dances, and I'm not going to do these things that just aren't my personality. And I think like once I realized just to show who I am and like regular life, it really helped, and my accounts started taking off and things started just taking off because I don't know, like trying, like it's I don't know the right words. Um Being myself, like I have so many people reach out to me and they're like, you're just normal. I'm like, well, yeah, like there's nothing exciting in my life. I don't go on fancy vacations. I don't do anything crazy. Like everything's just regular life. And the fact that like I was working 2 jobs when I started this, I'm a caregiver, I have 4 kids. I didn't have the time. And I decided to make the time to make something happen for our family. And so people are like, I try to show people like if someone like me can do this and be consistent and have the pitfalls of like not growing fast and have the pitfalls of like remaining, like I had to remain a student and keep trying different things until things started to work, because I wasn't one of those fortunate ones where it was like, oh, everything's happening right away. No, that just wasn't my story.
So, and this is everybody's story, besides just like the 1% of the 1%. And sometimes they're skilled and sometimes they're lucky, and it doesn't really matter because it's not your story or my story or anybody else's story. Everybody has their own path. How
Mm-hmm.
long did it take you? Like, help us understand. I want to be crystal clear for everybody that this is your third time on Wake Up Legendary. You started, give us kind of a timeline to help us like set more realistic expectations.
So I launched on May 28th of 2023. And I was like, I'm going to post at least 2 to 3 videos a day. And my Instagram would not grow. And people see my Instagram now and they're like, oh my gosh, like how'd you get it like this? I'm like, it was not like that at all. I did. So like the thing for me is, I think what's important is posting to all the platforms. You don't have to create new videos on all the platforms, but I would take my Instagram video and I would repost it to Facebook and repost it to TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And I grew much faster on TikTok and on Facebook than I did on Instagram. And but like month one, I think I had like 25 followers, and then like month two, I just was like, okay, I'll keep going, I'll keep going. And then I started to grow a little bit, but like my account on Instagram did not take off till October. So what is that, 5 months in? So it took a little while. I remember my kids would tease me because at first I told no one, nobody knew anything. I was hiding everything from everyone. But then the kids were home for summer and they saw me filming myself and doing these things. And then they started teasing me. They're like, Mom, making videos for nothing, making videos for nothing. And I'm like, just wait, just leave me be and let me just keep going. And I will promise you, like, as long as I stay consistent and stay learning new things and like, you know, like seeing what's working for the different algorithms and trying different things. Cause that's the thing, like for a while there, like short little videos worked and now talking videos work. So it's always having to reevaluate what is going on in like the social media world and changing it up.
Mm. What what do you believe was working in 2024? Let's be a little bit more, let's dive a little bit deeper on that particular point, because sometimes people come in to any occupation or business or community, and they look at what people are doing at the beginning, and maybe something's working better now, right?
Yeah.
And in other cases, there's other ways that they're comparing apples to oranges, right? It's not really the same thing. So for you, what is the same now as it was in the beginning? And then I want to ask next, like what is different about 2025 than 2024 in terms of marketing? So take the question kind of however you want, but I want to kind of say, what are the similarities and now what's different and working for you better now? So do you want to start with like, what hasn't changed from when you started to right now for you?
The things that haven't changed, like content wise, is I try to mix it up because I feel like when people do the same type of content all the time, it doesn't help your account grow. So I try to mix it up between I just started doing carousels in like mid to 2024, but like having storytelling, but also having, okay, this is my offer and this is what I want to teach you about. And then also having like the full, like talking educational one. So like mixing up your content has always helped. And then in mid 2024, carousels started taking off. And for me, like carousels are not for growing. It's kind of like you have to have growing content and then nurturing content and storytelling content. So like my carousels are usually only get seen by my followers, which is fine because there's plenty of there. So like I wouldn't start off with carousels because it's more, you want to have more growing content. So now I mix it up. I do like to tell my story, even though everyone isn't going to have the same story, but everybody has a story, like, and I know a lot of people don't talk about, like, they say, you shouldn't talk about your sob story or whatever. And I'm like, mine isn't a sob story. It was, it was a trial in our life that we still go through to this day, but like, it's just my life. And that's one of the main reasons I got into this. So why not share it, And it doesn't matter what people's stories are. Say you're working 50 hours a week and you just want a little more time with your family. Like, your story is your story and it will relate to people. Like, everybody will have their own audience that they'll relate to.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely, I don't know who views their kind of storytelling or marketing as a sob story, but if you guys do, then that's not only like you're operating just, and not to be hoo-hoo and super spiritual, because this isn't about holding hands and singing Kumbaya, but like you're operating at a low level, like a low vibe, like you need to raise your vibration, if you will. You need to upgrade your mindset. Your software is running on 5 past generations. It's you've got a little notification that says update your software, and for some reason you're resisting that or have been unaware of that and sort of view things through the lens of a sob story. Maybe it's that you are pessimistic or negative, and maybe right, you feel some guilt or shame around that. So here's how to solve that: is start turning your mess into a message. So you can tell your rocky road and also tell people how you've overcome it or are overcoming it, right? Here's another little tip: do your therapy in therapy, right? Not online. Don't complain. Don't be negative. don't share your struggles, particularly as you're going through them and you're in chaos,
Mhm.
right? Work through them and share how you got through them,
Yeah.
right? If you're in crisis, which I've been in crisis a couple of times over the last few years. I went through a divorce, had some business issues in bad press, people trying to attack us and tear our business down,
Mhm.
right? Never spoke about it online, never even shared about it until I was through it,
Yeah.
until I could speak about it confidently, passionately, and share the lesson,
Mhm.
not just the problem. What comes up for you as I say this?
Well, for me, like our situation. So when I started in 2023, I was about 5 years into like healing from my husband's accident and everything like that, and like our trials and stuff. Mind you, things happen all the time, with a brain injury and all that kind of stuff. So, but I don't share all of that. I always just try to um share, like, yes, there's all these hard things, but there is a way out if you can stay positive and like look past like all the hard parts of it. Like, I don't know, for me, like this whole experience, like I had kind of lost myself for a very long time, like, because I was a mom and that was my identity, and I was a caregiver, and then I have like dual identities, and like being a caregiver is not for the weak by any means, and that's just how I define myself. So like for this was such a huge thing because I hadn't had anything of my own in a really long time.
Mm,
And so this is mine, and it's given me like a sense of purpose, and it's given me more of an identity. And
mm,
I'm not in it for like the vanity metrics. Like, yes, we like our follower count to go up and likes and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's more like I've been able to provide for my family and get us out of a situation. And that's what I got to do for us. You know what I mean? So it's
mm.
given me a purpose like that. And I don't know.
I think
It,
it's hard to remember, like, it's hard to see your purpose when you're in frustration and desperation at the beginning.
yes.
And I like getting people through those first 3 to 6 months is like the hardest. Like sometimes it's just to get them to log in. If you're
Mhm.
not logging in and regularly dialed in on a daily basis, tuned into both learning and also implementation, it's not going to work, right? And I'm not saying no days off. I'm not saying hustle 16 hours a day. I'm just saying that this is not a hobby. You have to be active and you have to be operating and running it like a business. It doesn't kind of matter what's going on in your life. You still have to figure out how to emotionally deal with the uncomfortable feelings and the discomfort in your body,
Mhm.
and all of the anxiety and the yeah, we all struggle with different things, but there are a lot of the same stuff: comparing ourselves to others,
Mhm.
right? Overthinking things, perfectionism. What was your big, like? Were you a compare to other people? Did you deal with perfectionism? Is there anything that stood out or still stands out? Because usually we're still wrestling with things. It's not a cure. What do you wrestle with that we wouldn't know just from looking at your outside marketing?
I still compare. Like, I still have horrible comparisonitis, or I know that's not a word, but I like to use that word. I still look at other people and I'm like, well, why is that? I don't know. I still have issues, even though like people wouldn't think that or whatever, and I think I just feel like it's a tricky world because everybody can portray something that is better than what it possibly could be. You know what I mean? And I don't really like to do that. I like to be honest and like not portray something that isn't true. And so I have to always keep that in mind when I am comparing myself to these bigger creators or to these people that say they're doing this or doing that, because I don't know if it's true or not, and all I know is what is in my world. And like, I have to stay in that little, like, stay in my lane. I have to seriously stay in my lane, but I still do it. And I talk to other like big creators and we bounce things off each other. So that helps me stay grounded. So, but in the beginning, the comparisonitis was really hard because people that started after me, like, took off way faster, but it's just, keeping the mindset that like everybody's journey is different, and knowing that I had to change things and tweak them and get better at copywriting and get better at, like, all the aspects of it, and keep learning all the different tools that are laid out for us and implementing them. And then eventually I knew it would click at some point.
How has being a part of, I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about AI here in a second and kind of leveraging technology. But I first want to start with like the community. Like, how has being a part of this community, how has being a part of community and going through this process here at Legendary, how has it specifically helped you? Like standing, like I tell people all the time, Legendary Marketer is not a business model. This is not an MLM. You don't have to do anything to start a business online, to do affiliate marketing or create a course. This is education, and it's community, and it's support.
Yeah.
And then you can decide what path you want to take. We, of course, teach business models and skill sets. But how has going through this process and taking the time and spending the money and, learning and going back to school in a sense and being a part of community, what stands out as being pieces that really helped you along the journey? Like, what stands out as this really helped me in this specific way?
With me, with Legendary, it's the way I started and it's the way I first learned and everything like that. And I just felt, I still talk to people that I first met, a couple years ago when I started, and they still are willing to help me. And they still, because I still get stuck on things, and I've made so many friends, and nobody is trying to one up each other. Everyone just wants to help. Like, I talk to Kim Ballum all the time, and we just help each other. Like, we talk to each other and we help each other. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And so it's just more of like a family type thing, because I have a bunch of other things that I've tried in the past year or whatnot. And never have I felt the sense of like everybody has each other's back instead of everybody's just out for their own. So for me with Legendary, that is a huge thing, because everybody cares about everyone else's success and how they can learn or how they can get better and all that. So for me, that's been huge.
And Kim is listening and says, "Hey, girl, hey."
Hi.
Hey, girl, hey.
I was going to give you a shout out. Sorry.
So I want to point, like, if I was new and I heard like, oh, collaborating with other big content creators or bouncing ideas off of Kim, and I'd be like, well, I want to do that too, right? Like she's got an advantage. But I want to clarify, you're still collaborating with people that you started with, right?
Yeah.
And before you started collaborating with like other big content creators, you did the initial footwork to build up your account. It wasn't like you went with kind of like at the very beginning to other content creators and they were like, yeah, let's bounce ideas off each other. I just want to be clear for people who are new that like you didn't get a special golden ticket to collaborate with certain people just because you're Trista. No. You started with these people, and some are still around and some aren't. And does this fit? I just want to make sure that we're.
Yeah, that's 100%, because in the beginning, I tried to reach out to some bigger creators that were, and nobody responded to me. So no, like, that's not how it was. back then. And like for me, like I had a girl reach out to me last night, and she just started in this whole world, and she was just bouncing things off of me, and I will respond to people. That's like the difference, is like I'm not just here to better myself. I want to help others. And if they have questions, whether I don't know, it's I think a huge thing in this is to not just be in it for yourself. Everyone can do their own thing, but for me it feels good to help others. If they, if they're just starting, even if they never even like, if they joined the challenge or did something with somebody else, I don't care. I'm still going to answer your questions. Like if I have the time, I will take the time and answer questions. And so no, I definitely did not have a golden ticket. That would be nice, but no.
Is there a way in which because I can see some people thinking, oh yeah, let me just shoot Trista my stuff, right?
Oh,
Let me just get
I-
okay, here I am. Where's her link? Let me just go over there and just drop my link and just be like, help me, right? And one of the things that I work with people on quite a bit is asking better questions, right? And I've got the same template that I've had all along. It's like try to really clarify and only ask one question at a time.
Mhm.
Try to say what you've already done so that we don't waste our time answering questions that you already have tried, and also let us know what you think the answer might be. Like as now somebody who is more of you're an authority, you're a successful entrepreneur by all means, and congratulations, like you've arrived, right?
It's so weird because I'm just this like normal, it's just
Yeah.
a weird situation.
No, I feel the same way, because it's like people definitely treat me differently than my kids do and my family does, right?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just a normal person, right, in my own eyes as well, and I'm always surprised. But is there like this is an obvious one, so I'm not gonna shoot it back over to you, but I just want to remind people that when you approach people, it's like some the way in which you approach people and the way in which you ask your question is going to depend on the answer that you get or whether you get ignored, right? And I see so many people playing either a victim or just getting frustrated because they feel like they're not getting support, but yet their attitude stinks. They're always frustrated. They're almost in a way trying to blame other people for their lack of results, and it's kind of always something else and it's never them, right? And one of the things that is so refreshing, I can tell you now from coaching for a long time, both young people all the way up to adults, is that the attitude and the way in which people approach me is everything.
Yes.
It's everything. I don't answer everybody's questions the same way, people.
Yeah.
Like if you just drop your problems in my lap and think that I think that you're going to manipulate me or make me feel like it's my job to make you successful, I'm going to ignore you.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore you because I know that if I spend the time with you, you're not going to own it anyways. You're not going to implement it anyways. It's just going to likely fall on deaf ears. So folks, if you're approaching people and if you're going to be a student at all in any capacity, which you need to be, the importance of being humble, of owning your results, of if you're asking questions, making it as easy as possible, as convenient as possible for the people to help you is going to be so helpful for you, right? And also one of the things that I think about is I'd like to be this person's favorite client.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I do it with everybody. My barber just left, my pool guy, my contractor, everybody that I work with. It's not just my mentors and coaches. It's people that work for me. I try to make things as convenient, concise, clear, simple, and easy to work with me as I possibly can, because I know how it feels to have somebody who doesn't have that awareness, that self-awareness, and is literally just trying to make me responsible for their success. And there's literally nothing worse than that, right? Yeah. It's an icky feeling, and it's just something that I can't stress enough. Now, I did rant a little bit. Anything?
I feel like I opened a can of worms, and I didn't mean to be like send me a million messages because like I'm a busy human or
Yeah,
whatever, but like,
no, this is so important to talk about.
I just feel like I don't know the right words. I keep losing my train of thought. I apologize. There are people that are willing out there to talk to other people. I remember when I started and I couldn't get help from the girl that I started with because I couldn't get a response. I reached out to, I'm allowed to say more names. Like I reached out to Tim Hewitt and he totally helped me and it was amazing. And we still talk to this day and
Shout
he didn't
out
have to
to
help me. He didn't have to do anything, but like, and so like for me, like having people like that that are willing to help it's just it's a granted I was on support calls and doing things like
doing
that,
other footwork.
but
Yeah.
it's different when you reach out to like a marketer and they have a little bit different perspective and all and stuff.
Sure. And yeah, doing just making sure that you're doing footwork and that you're doing the work and that you're like, attitude is everything. And not only is it going to get you better help and support and more friends in this community, in any community that you go to, but it's also just your attitude is everything in this. And if you don't have those pieces in place and the ability to maintain a positive attitude, or at least treat others with kindness, respect, and most importantly, your following. Like your following can sense if you're desperate and frustrated.
Yes,
Like it comes
100%.
out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yep, completely. And I think that like at first, like I wanted to just ask people, well, how do I do this? And how to do that? And how do I do this? And instead of like, I had to stop myself and be like, okay, let me just like dig into the education and figure it out. And then if I haven't exhausted all of the options that I tried to figure out on my own, then I will ask someone because because I see that's the main thing that I love about Legendary is that the education is very in depth and it teaches you all the steps. So you are equipped to mostly figure out everything, not figure out, but mostly like get everything implemented because I've tried other programs, I've tried other things, and it is nowhere near as in depth to where you can be responsible for what is going on in your business. You know what I mean? Like it's great to have everything all handed to you or whatever, but then what if you don't learn the skills and you don't know how to do things and then you're just like I don't know. I just feel like learning the skills and knowing how to implement them is crucial.
Yeah. Well, doing the footwork, friends. I mean, there is a lot of information in our education, and there's also like y'all want to earn doctor money, but you don't want to do any schooling, and it's kind of crazy. It's like wild to like think like that. I literally just was talking to somebody last night, and they're like, "I'll take 250,000 my first year." It's like you will. I mean, who wouldn't?
Right?
It's like that's not how this works, right? It's like, again, you want doctor money, but doctors go to school for 11 or 12 years. They come out with $500,000 in student loan debt. Like, you don't want those problems. You already said no to that. Like, you already chose not to take a path like that in life. And so just coming in here just because other people are making money online doesn't mean that you're entitled to that. Like, even if you do everything that somebody else did who has that, doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it. Like, there's timing, there's market conditions, there's trends and things that change on social media. Let's pivot a little bit to kind of strategy. How are you using AI right now? And is there any tricks or tips that you have to kind of help with coming up with content, or help with scripting or hooks or headlines or anything else that you may be using AI in a unique way right now, or just in a simple way?
This is going to sound so, I'm middle-aged and AI is strange for me. I will use it every once in a blue moon, but it is not something that I automatically go to. So I I don't use it for hooks or anything like that. What I do for content is I actually go back through my analytics and I see what worked and I see what, gained followers or had a lot of engagement. And I don't reinvent the wheel. I just recreate it, shoot a new video, use the same hook, change the audio. I try to not reinvent the wheel, because when I was trying to reinvent the wheel, it didn't work for me. So I'm not the best at AI. I wish, I guess I should, but I
No, I love it. Well, I mean, AI in some ways, I'm torn a little bit about it, but I am embracing it because it definitely is the future, and the way in which that it can kind of help speed up the content creation process for somebody who's brand new,
yeah.
or even people like for me too, who has a lot of other things going on besides content creation and online marketing. It's like my business is scaled to the point now in Legendary where I have to be an operator, an
Mhm.
owner operator, and I'm an active CEO. So I think learning the basics of copywriting, like you said, and learning the actual skill sets is definitely foundational, whether you're using AI or not, because using AI is kind of like is like managing an employee. And it's always easier to manage an employee when you know how to do their job and when you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're looking for, then it's difficult to kind of know what to ask for or how to manage it. And so let's do a hypothetical scenario, like, or go back in, because I can imagine somebody saying, "Well, I don't really have any analytics. Like I've posted 100 videos, but nothing's really taken off,
Yeah.
and so like I don't really have the ability to kind of look at my analytics and see what's taken off." Put yourself in those shoes. What would be your strategy for content creation in that case?
So that was my situation, because I had posted my first 50 to 100 videos and they were awful. Like I was just trying, and they were not good. Like you can go back and look at them. I have not taken them down and they are not good by any means. But I started watching um other creators that were not huge. They were medium size and they were growing, and I could see who was growing and who wasn't growing, and just seeing what kind of reels or content worked for them, and then trying to recreate that in my own way. And that's what eventually helped my account take off. Not the huge creators, because like they have a different audience, and the way they talk to their audience is going to be completely different than when you're in like the beginning growing stages. It's so that's like one thing that, like, when people ask me, well, why am I not growing, I'm like, you cannot post the same content as these really big people, because they have a full-on built-in audience, and of course they're going to get a lot of action, all that kind of stuff. You have to post stuff for growing in the beginning. And so like, find the smaller accounts that are taking off in the business and just kind of watch and see what works for them, and try and do your own type of content in that same way.
I like that. So many times we're, like I said at the beginning, comparing apples to oranges, right? And that's such a powerful tip.
Yeah.
Um, what in terms of your like email building or kind of calls to action,
Mhm.
um, in converting your traffic into leads in sales,
Mhm.
help us to understand how you take your audience and actually move them to that next stage. Do you have one singular place that you're directing people and calling them to action? Um, is that up into your sales funnel? Are you DMing and interacting with people that way? Are you only giving calls to action to follow you in videos and then more pitching in stories? Help us to understand like the audience call to action and then converting them to like a lead, like more than just a passive watcher.
Um, for me, I usually the reels that work are the ones where I put my call to action on screen. And so because sometimes people don't want to take the time to read the whole caption or whatnot. And so for me, and everything leads to my one sales funnel. I do use automation because there's no way that I could not use automation and keep up with like the comments that I get on some reels. So everything takes them to my sales funnel. And then, but for me, what has worked is like, it's weird, but like having some catchy trending audio and timing it perfectly to the music and perfectly to the reel, and then having the call to action like jump onto the screen, because that grabs people attention. Like having this big long drawn out thing doesn't seem to work all the time. So that's like more my storytelling, where like I'm telling other parts of the story, but like reels that tend to get me a lot of leads and people into my funnel are ones that are quick, and here's this, and then here's my call to action, and then they're out, and like not having them have to read the whole caption tends to work for me.
What Yeah, that's a really good tip. That's really, really important to test, right? And
Yeah.
these are all things that you're saying that we should all test, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to ask about video editing for a
Yeah.
moment. Like, how how important do you think it is for somebody to take the time to actually like learn how to operate inside of, for example, CapCut or something like that? Can you share kind of a behind the scenes look at your editing process, like your filming and editing process?
Yeah, of course. So I do very rare, like I use CapCut. I'll do it every once in a while, but I primarily, evidently I can't talk either. Not enough coffee. I primarily film everything in Instagram, and I film all the time. Like I set up my camera all the time and just film random things. People see me doing everything, like putting my kids' shoes on, or just it's always just so I have stuff. And then I literally edit everything in Instagram, and I usually try to, depending on the type of the reel, but like having a crisp, clean video is important. Like in the beginning, I did not have crisp, clean videos. Having not text just all over the place and sloppy is important, because some people don't know and their text is way at the top of the screen. Well, I can't see that. Or it's in, like you want to have it clean and right in center, or having text that's too small where people can't read it. Like there's so many different things. And what, like for me, I follow some people that use audios that I would never use because they are not my personality. So, having audios that go with your actual reel, but also are trending and also are somewhat your personality, helps for me, because I'm not going to use something that has a bunch of curse words in it. That's just not what I'm going to do. It's just not how I portray myself or whatnot. And yeah, that might be a type of audio that's like popping off, but I just can't bring myself to. I think I did it once and I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I think, and then like seriously timing things to music makes a big difference. Like I know it sounds silly, but like if something falls on a beat drop, like it catches people's attention and keeps them watching.
Mm. So when you're filming or when you're editing in Instagram, you don't have the app open always filming. You're pulling in clips that you've already filmed. Do you mean that?
Yeah. Well, sometimes, so some days I'm like pre-done and have stuff ready to go, like in my drafts and stuff like that. And then sometimes I'm just fly by the seat of my pants and I'll film it and then I'll do it real quick. And then it just depends on my schedule and the kids and everything. But I have tons of videos just saved on my phone or in drafts that I go back to use later. Like if I take a shower and do my hair, I want to film a few videos. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I do edit everything in Instagram.
Okay. I was just I was just trying to clarify for everybody that they can film video outside of Instagram just on your regular phone and then pull those clips into the Instagram editor.
You can, yes. I've like, yes, you can. I've done that as well, but I primarily, somewhere a long time ago, and I think it's just stuck in my head, I read that Instagram favors if you film in their app, even if you save it to your phone and reuse it. So I just like, I got superstitious, so I always do that. But I've pulled stuff from just regularly like videoing normally.
Okay. Okay. Good tip. Good tip.
Yeah.
Um, so like when you say crisp, clear video,
Mhm.
like tell us what you mean by that, and like how do you get crisp, clear video? Like what are some of the little things that you kind of are aware of, or tricks that you've used to make sure that, and like what do you mean by that? Because I think that this is a big deal for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Like videos, just the lighting isn't good or whatever it is. So what is that? What is crisp, clear video? I know it sounds self-explanatory, but like what is that for you, and how do you make sure that you get it?
Um, First thing, people like, there's a lot of times where people don't clean their camera lens, and it doesn't make it so it's super, like, I'm like crazy person and I make sure everything's like clean. And then you want to make sure that there's not a bunch of light behind you, because then it makes the video kind of foggy. Although I did post one a couple weeks ago that had the light behind me, but it is what it is. And then I struggle with using like a ring light because of my glasses. So I always have to look for natural light or turn on every light in my house to get better lighting. You don't want it to be dark. You can do it. You can do some videos dark, but like I I think good lighting really really helps. And so like I try to film in front of a window or in my car or something where it can, everything can come out clearer. So and that's, there's nothing else. I need to upgrade my phone because I have an iPhone 13, but
I
I'll get there.
Girl, I had a 12 and I just got the new 16.
Yeah, great.
I don't know. I haven't look. I my dirty little secret is that like I'm just not great at all this stuff, like this tech stuff, even the editing shit. It's like that's not my forte. I mean, I'm kind of a I'm kind of a young old man, in the sense that like my upbringing in this industry was not, it's never been like make high production. It's always been just real kind of basic, trying to develop my copy, my words, using a lot of written word, and then when I get on camera, trying to just let my passion come out, and not hide my emotion, and try to like turn all of my channel my emotion into kind of passion and inspiration, tell my story in a powerful way. So like I just want everybody to know that you can scale in this industry without needing to be a high end producer, and at the same time, like I'm challenging myself to learn the apps, get better with the editing, make sure that I'm actively using it. Like I have a team, but I'm also working on these apps, and I'm actively creating content. Like for me, this is easy. Like this is easy for me. Yeah, and it's crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
this just getting on and just going with no, and now this is, I've done over 1,000 interviews on the show. I've been doing this for since March of 2020, this show. And I mean, this Facebook page that we're on right now, the Legendary Marketer Facebook page has got 160,000 followers on it. I don't think we've ever ran an ad on this. I mean, it's just been all going live,
Yeah.
right? Every single day, like
Yeah.
no content, like no edited reels or anything like that. So, this stuff is been a challenge for me to learn, and I'm kind of dedicated to like staying in the trenches with all of this tech. And I admire everybody who's put in the work to learn how to use these apps, and to the attention to detail, Trist, I think is also really important. Like you pointed out, the dropping calls to actions on the beat, and
Yeah.
using the music to help the video have more of an impact and just be more fun. It goes back to the word that I teach in the blueprints and in the fishing formula, which is edutainment, like making your education also entertaining. That's definitely one of the ways to do it, is just to integrate sounds and just people love that. They just, like, when I look at videos and I'm like, that was cool. Like that
Yeah.
was just, I don't know if I learned anything, but that was just a cool video, right? And I just want to kind of watch that again because it was entertaining.
Mhm.
Um, it works. And so learning these things, sitting there, like putting in the time to learn the apps, like for example, CapCut has been one that has been a big deal for me to kind of learn and to use. And it models the TikTok editor. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, which is not my personal favorite platform. I actually don't really like TikTok at all, but it's so powerful, right? You can't ignore it. Um, yeah, I just share that just for all of you who think that everything just comes so easy to everybody. Like it doesn't. And there's a lot of us who you may look up to who still are just like tech dummies or editing dummies or just, still aren't comfortable with these things, but we just can't let it hold us back. We have to keep like moving. And I want to talk a little bit about like your willingness to kind of be embarrassed and kind of put yourself out there as we bring this in for a landing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are just not willing to be embarrassed. Their fears of looking stupid are greater than their fear of like, I don't know, of not succeeding. Like that just dominates them, like how they look. How have you dealt with that and embraced embarrassment, being teased by your kids? About like that stood out to me and kind of hit me like that's hard to have your kids and your kids' friends be like, yeah, look at mom making videos for nothing. Nobody's watching them. Like that's embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
That's hard. How have you dealt with that, and how do you deal with that idea of putting yourself out there and willing to be embarrassed?
In the beginning, it was really rough because I am not a social media person, by nature. Um, I blocked everyone, so everybody in my regular life wouldn't see me. Eventually, people that they knew found me here and there. What's she doing? What's she doing? And I was just like, oh, whatever. It is what it is. Um, I think knowing and nobody else is living my life. Nobody else knows our financial situation and this and that, and then just putting like my family's priorities over what other people think. Like what other people think is none of my business, and I just had to get to that point. Like if they don't like it, it is what it is. If like, I'm not doing anything bad here. I'm not hurting anyone. So if you don't like what I'm doing, it's okay. Like I just had to get to the point of not caring what other people think. Granted, like some of my neighbors would be like, I saw you on, on social media. I'm like, oh yeah, hi. But like people get over it and it's not that big of a deal. And I still get nervous. Like I don't like to do talking videos. It takes me an hour to do one talking video because I have to refilm it 100 times but people wouldn't know that because they just see the final product and like they don't see all the background stuff and it's my big like I think that people that are just starting out to not think that everybody that's been doing this for a while or that seems like they're comfortable, like we're filming a bunch of times, we're doing it over and over again so it looks good. So don't think
Yes.
that we have all of our stuff together. It takes so it may seem like everything is all together all the time, but it really isn't. We're all just the same, just been doing it a little bit longer.
I know the amount of times that, I mean, now not so much, but I still do it. Like obviously I film when I'm creating a piece of content, there can be multiple times that I film it until I get sick of myself. But it's definitely drastically improved from when I first started.
Yeah.
I can do a one take nowadays if I'm in a hurry and just go with it, right? I mean, and that goes for like especially training videos. All the challenges I filmed in one take. Wasn't a single scene that I can remember, and we can ask Jalen at the next mastermind if he remembers any. But for some reason, when I have somebody else there filming or filming for me, I am a lot less hard on myself. Whereas when I'm by myself, I tend to overanalyze things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helpful to kind of to do that, and that's not always I can't always do that, but integrating spouse or friends can be a way that you can try that if and see if that works for you guys. I know it does for me, because I'm thinking about like, yeah, just trying to be respectful of other people's time, right? It's just like I'm not going to sit there and do it 20 times. I almost force myself to just move on. But I really this is so beautiful and helpful. And you are like Kim posted when I asked that question. Let Them, which is the book by Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
Remind me of.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to plug a lot of people's content, but I think Mel is just somebody who a lot of people follow, and she just puts out really, really good stuff. And her book, Let Them, is really it could be a huge resource for a lot of us, is a huge resource, and kind of that theory of the let them theory or concept that she talks about in her new book. She's got a great podcast as well, and I'd recommend it because it's a lot about mindset. It's a lot about just relatability and kind of everyday daily struggles. And she's a content creator and a marketer. And so she's both talking about it, actively doing it, and even talking about screen time and being honest in terms of encouraging people to kind of put down the phone, right? And as she's creating content, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're aware of her work as well and have gotten some value from that too.
I love her, and the let them theory is like it's a good way to live by, because it is what it is. Like, let them, if they want to not do this, let them. I truly believe in that. So,
well, once again, a mind-blowing episode, and there's been comments of people not believing that this is free, and so please go, everybody, follow Trista and give her love and support her, and learn from her, and continue to for you, it's like, I'm just so grateful that you still take the time to remember us little guys and come back and give us the value that you do. The third time on the show, I'd love to have you come to a mastermind and speak one day as well, and just continue to be a part of your journey and watch you grow. Thank you so much for your time and your effort and what you've done yourself for your family. That is a huge value to us as well.
Well, thank you for having me. It was fun. I'm like, now I'm not nervous anymore. So now we can start the interview. So.
All right. Well, hey, with that being said, we'll see you later on the next episode. Okay.
Bye.
All right. See you, Trista. All right, my friends, have a great day. Be legendary. Please go follow Trista on Instagram. She is awesome, the best, incredible interview. And we'll see you all back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here, my friends. Peace.